What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Doe Show. It's your boy Dame D, and today we are joined with a group panel of young men and women. Today we're gonna have an exciting conversation. I'll go ahead and let my first guest, my co-host. I'm sorry about that. Introduce herself to the show, and she'll give you guys the topic.
Hey, I'm usually DJ Shawnee D, but today I just want to be myself, Sean. So, hey, everybody.
Okay, and
What's
to the
up?
left of us, we
Um,
got Dorinda Peterson. She's going to join us to the show with on the show. We got BJ3 that's going to join us again on the show, and then we got a guest that's been joining us frequently on the show, Joseph Knows. So I
what's
want to
up,
Hey,
welcome
Joseph?
each and
going
every
on?
one of you guys to the show tonight. So DJ Shiny D,
Thank you.
I'm gonna go on ahead and let you lead it away and get the show started. But I will say this: the topic of the show is, what comes with a man paying all the bills in the household. You know what I mean? So I know you wanted to add more to it, DJ Shiny D. So I'll go ahead and let you take the show away.
It started from a question I was asked Friday at work by one of my male coworkers. And he said, LaShonda, how do you feel about 50-50? So to me, I just told him, excuse me, I don't want my man broke. I don't want my man overly stressed out. I don't want him having the weight of the world on his shoulders alone. I feel like was almost for a different time. This is just how I feel. A lot of my friends don't feel this way. But I just feel like that was a different time. If men and women work, everybody should be contributing to the house. So that's just how I feel.
Right.
And so my question for today is for the women, I want to make sure because we got a lot of women out here that are listening to these rap songs and, watching TV and life imitates art. And they believe that a man is supposed to pay all the bill. And then they are not really shy with telling men that they want them to pay the bills. They coming off the rip with it. So my question is, I want to make sure that younger women understand what comes with being with a man that pays all the bills. What comes with that? And to the men, I want it to come directly from them. I want them to be able to tell you exactly what they would expect if they're paying all the bills in the house. So that's the reason for the conversation today.
Okay, and I think that's going to lead to an awesome and great conversation. So, would you like for the men to answer that question first, or would you want Dorinda to go on ahead and give her thoughts and opinion on that question?
I think Dorinda should go actually because I think as women and right now in the role of living by example for younger women, I think that we should kind of address it first and then follow up with you guys, solidifying what you expect.
Right. Okay. Well,
If
you
that
can go ahead and start it off, Dorinda, and give your thoughts and opinion on the question at hand.
Well, Lashonda and I have, kind of differ. I think it's 50-50 to me, and this is my opinion. Paying 50-50, if that's what works for you in your relationship, that's fine. I think the same thing is going to come in a relationship where the man is paying all the bills or paying 50-50. Now, in some cases, because I know I have friends that pay all the bills, and there's not an issue, but I think you have to set the boundaries and define who what the boundaries are in your relationships first and foremost, because the person and LaShawn is right too. The person who pays the bills controls majority of everything, but it depends on how you and your husband decide to set things up. Now, if you set everything up that you may possibly get played and be in a position where you can't go anywhere, then you have lost your power, and that's on you. But there needs to be a conversation and consistency of how you want the relationship to go if your husband or wife is paying the bills. Because some women out there take care of the household as well, and we shouldn't forget about them.
Right. Okay, but and before BJ3 and you come in, Joseph, I want to add my input.
Wait, can
And
I
I
say
kind of agree
something
with
first
both
as a
you
woman?
ladies with your input. You know, and I talked about this conversation earlier with my wife, and we talked about this situation. You know, most people think you know, and most people when they hear this conversation, you know that, you know, and I'll start off with this first. You know, this is how our grandmothers and grandfathers, I mean, grandmothers and grandfathers used to live. You know, most of the men back in those times, you know, it was almost you know, almost looked at, you know, like it was like not like you know the men always paid mostly all the bills in the household, and the woman was the wife was a stay-at-home mom, you know, so they didn't look at it in the situation like how today's you know generation with the 50-50, you know, because times have changed, the money has changed, you know what I mean, and you know, and when you say that now, most people think that you know, for a man to be able to pay all the bills in the household, you know, every now and then, you know, he's subject, or, you know, it shouldn't be a problem for him to go out, you know, and have extra marital relationships, you know what I mean? Or, you know, to kind of do what he want, you know. So I'm gonna allow you, BJ3, to
Wait a minute.
elaborate
I didn't get my statement.
on
Wait a
this
minute.
on the question at hand. Go ahead,
Wait a minute.
LaShawn.
I didn't get my statement. I just told the subject, but now I want to
Okay.
tell kinda how
Okay,
I
well give
feel.
your statement and then BJ3 can come on in.
All right, all right. So I was doing work before. Now this is personal. All right. So when the guy asked me that, I told him, I said, I don't see a problem with everybody putting, $2,500, $3,000 in their account a month for the house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like everybody do that. But since I do that, if I'm paying equal, I feel like I got equal say. You know what I mean? That's just how I
Nope.
feel. It costs to be the boss. And so
No.
if you want to pay, if I'm paying 50-50, I got
No.
50-50
I
say.
think, yeah,
No.
but I think you can be, I
No.
think you
No.
can
No.
be, I think that you can, even if a man is paying all the bills, I think you can have a say so. I don't believe in the notion that just because you pay all the bills, I don't have a voice in my household. I don't believe in that. I believe if we come together as a union and we decide you taking care of the majority of the stake of the household, but my stake of the household is taking care of the household too. Because so
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing my part. So I don't buy into I think the way you set your relationship up and how whatever you tolerate is what you are tolerating. That doesn't go for everybody because I know a lot of men who pay the bills and their wives have a say so
People say.
in what goes on in their household.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, before you come in, Joseph, go ahead, BJ3. We want to hear your
Oh,
input.
I ain't coming. I'm waiting.
I mean, I kind
I
of
know I'm
agree a
about to
little
go.
bit. I agree a little bit with everybody. It's definitely what you agreed on. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to be structured. This is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing. This is what I'm expecting. This is what you're doing. This is if everybody's on the same page, then everything should be fine. And it should be. You got two adults in the house, and everybody's part, whether it's monetary or physical, is important. You have everybody plays a part. So as far as everybody having a voice and to say so in it, that should be already a given. But as far as how personally, like my dad, he but his wife, he pretty much takes care of everything, and I was like, man, I want to do that, but I live in California, and
Too
it's
bad.
it's it's different, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like, with my wife, I'm like, babe, like you make what I make, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So how I look me paying now, I'm like DJ said, like I'm broke trying to pay everything, and you stacking, and you stacking for you. Now if you stacking for us, now it's a different ballgame because I know people that thrive to my best friend years ago. He was like, man, when he first got married, he was like, one check went to the savings and one check went to the bills. So hers went here, his went there, type of thing, and then they made their moves from there. And now if you can make that work, then you're setting both of you guys up for success. But that ain't how it works. We got two different accounts. Money over here, my money over here. But again, it ultimately comes down to what the agreement is. And I think when you know what your bills are, because I do financial reports, and we have a husband and a wife sitting there together, and rarely is it all the money's in one pot and they just pay their bills for one pot. Usually, it's he paid this and I paid that. Okay, that's her bill, and then I put down a number. Oh, that's his bill. Okay, then I put down a number. So usually it's an agreement, and everybody's on board with what is being paid. And it's just like how it is. 50-50, I don't think 50-50 is fair, but I don't think that I should be working 3 or 4 jobs and you got your legs crossed and chilling at the crib and ain't nothing else happening. So yeah, it has to be fair and then agreed. Fair and agreed.
Well,
it ain't
go
gonna
ahead
be
and
fair.
give
Let me say that.
your
It's not
opinion,
gonna
Joe.
be fair.
Well, go ahead and give your opinion on the question, Joe.
Here we go.
First and foremost, I agree and disagree. First and foremost, money should never determine how a woman's supposed to be submissive to her husband. That's number one. That's where we good. That's where this world has went wrong at. I don't care if we are doing 50-50. Um, that doesn't change the role of who's the head and who's is the leader of the home. So even if she was paying 30%, I'm only able to pay 30%, that doesn't change the role of our home. Why? This is Americanized. This is a Western idea. This is a Western mindset that money is the is the it's the trump card determines who and how we are going to run our home. So I disagree with that. Secondly, I don't think that a man is supposed to be doing 50-50. And the reason why is because it's the mindset. If we paying 50-50, the mindset is that we are equal. And even though I don't believe in that, but it's just that is what we put out there. If she's paying 50% of the bills, I'm paying 50% of the bills. Even if we're making the same income, for her, it's human nature for her to automatically feel as if we are on the same page. So I don't believe in that. Now, 100%, that's my grandfather days. We can't do that today. So, but in my household, there's a 70-30 rule. There's a 70-30, 65-35, depending month to month, depends on depends.
Right.
So, and yes, she does have a voice in my home. She does. But overall, the decision, the buck stops with me.
Okay, well, lead to that, and I think what most people think about, not saying that the wife wouldn't have an opinion on, what that man or what that woman would do, if she's paying most of the bills. It was just, I think the general question was, what would be the outcome of that? What would be, the say so of the wife or the husband who was paying most of the bills. But the question that a lot of people probably want to know is, and I'm gonna ask you women this question next. How would you feel if your husband or your boyfriend was paying all the bills in the household and he did want to go out and have something on the side? You know what I mean? Would that be an issue? Would that be a problem?
I can say I'll speak first, and then I'll let you go. I can say only from my own experience. I have dated men that have just had a lot of disposable income. Let's just say that. And they were complete as holes, and not that they were disrespectful, but if they walked in my house or they called me at 4 o'clock in the morning, they still expected for me to answer because of what they contribute to my household. I always felt like I worked. I didn't need you to give me anything, but the fact that you did, I'm appreciative. But you gave me money. I paid what I wanted to pay because you gave me a gift. Now, if we're a married couple and you pay most of the bills, if I, first of all, it goes back to the respect level. If I respect my husband, I'm going to submit to him, regardless. But
Right.
you cannot be niggas playing games all day, and I can't find a job. I've been looking. Well, guess
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
That's not
I
going to
get
work
that.
for me. I can't submit to that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
And
Right.
that's
So
and that's
that's how
But
I
but
feel.
but
And
if
and
but
I
if
do
he
feel
but
like
if he's not that type of man, if he's taking care of business, paying all his bills, you know, um, would you have a problem with him, going out, having a little something on the side?
I just think you don't have a say.
Okay.
I just
All
think
right.
when a man pays all the bills, the choice isn't always yours. And especially
Right.
if you have set yourself up as a woman to just receive money from him. If you
Okay.
set your life up to receive the
Are
money, and that's how
we,
you progress and how you stay afloat, then yeah, you got to put up with some shit.
well, hold on.
Right.
Are you referring to girlfriend, boyfriend, or are you talking about husband, wife?
I mean,
I'm
we're just
talking
talking
about
about
No, no,
women.
I'm just
just
based on
couples in
what she's
general.
saying.
Yeah, well,
Because there,
Husband,
we'll say
husband and
but
wife.
husband and wife, but
what
for those who's not married, boyfriend and girlfriend also. But yeah, go ahead, Dorinda. I want her to answer. Then you can come back in, Joe, with your opinion.
Well, again, I go back to the it's the standards that you set in motion in a relationship. I don't think just because a man pay all the bills that he have if you're gonna allow a man to cheat, whether whether he pay all the bills or not, then
Right,
that's something you have established at the very end that you would take it. Like if you don't create no boundaries and value who you are as a woman and what you bring to the table, whether he paying all the bills or not, he's going to run. If he paying all the bills, excuse me, or not, he's going to run over you. But if you guys have made a determination that he's going to, and I do like what Joseph said about, the 50-50. I'm giving you an example of a lady that I work with, and I thought I never heard this before in my life. They were getting ready to get another place, and I guess you have to fill out an application. And she said out of her mouth, "I'm going to split the application fee with you because she said they do everything 50-50. But that's
right,
a roommate. That's a
hmm
and
I agree.
what responsibility do he have to you if you literally got to split 50-50? I think for the most part, men want to have to be the head of their households.
Hmm
And I think
right,
for the most part, men, like what Joseph said, it stops with him because he's the head of his household. That's what they have determined.
right,
Every household is different. For me and my household, my husband plays the majority of the bills, but he can't step out on me. That's not going to happen. And if he's going to be the head of the household, you have to have respect.
right.
You
hmm
have to honor your family, and you got to bring your ass home at night. So, those are the
Well, that's saying that he would never come home at night. We were just saying, like, look, if he paying all the bills and he's making all the decisions, most people, who would listen to this, or I'll just say most men, you know, um, they probably, you know what? I'll go on ahead and let you bring your opinion in, then Joe, and then I'll finish
All
back up.
right.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Well, first of all, this is where I'm gonna offend some people here. Uh, if you're a boyfriend girlfriend, he has no obligation to be faithful to you
I agree.
because the marriage is the sacred part of it. The marriage is the covenant where two people come together. So I only owe my wife that commitment because I made a covenant with her. So if he was dating, I'm cheating all day. I'm doing that hell I want to do. Paying the bills or not, we living together doesn't matter to me because I didn't commit to you on that level. That's what marriage is for. We have to learn to separate marriage and dating because when you're not married, you're dating. I don't care about that fiance, the middle stage, ain't no such thing in my book. You either you're married or you're not.
Right,
So my wife, she does not agree with that. But I told her, I made it very clear. If I'm dating you, we're not married. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I don't feel obligated to be faithful to you. Now,
So
since we
you
and I
you
can pay,
you propose, you not still not committed?
that ain't nothing to me. We're not married.
Mm,
I'm
okay.
not saying no. Sorry, the proposal it has some weight, but that's enough for me not to cheat on you because until we marry, I don't feel there's a commitment. There's nowhere marriage is a sacred thing. So we made it where we got to get engaged and plan our marriage, our wedding, and all that. That's time in between, and things happens that way. But when you marry, there's a commitment. So uh, again, I disagree with that stance. You don't owe that person a commitment until you marry. So
So
cheat all you want.
why is a proposal not a commitment?
It's not a commitment.
I mean,
The commitment is I do. And until that happens, look, we all when you fill out a job application, if you know you applying and applying to work there, you can always change your mind. The commitment is the marriage. Boyfriend, girlfriend is filling each other out. Proposal is okay, yeah, it's a promise.
Now,
They can
now I
be
want
broke.
I, I want to ask you a question about one thing that you
Commitment,
said, Joe. You
lower
don't
level
believe in a
commitment.
50-50. Now, what do you
No,
believe that the man should what do you think it should be his part, in a household if you don't believe the 50-50?
well, I go there. I just want to say that if you married though, you have no right to step out on her.
Okay.
You married, you made a vow. It's going to be two, one, and I cheated before, and I've been in another marriage, and I made mistakes, as I was younger. But I will say this: as I understand what marriage is truly about, you're not supposed to be stepping out.
Right.
So you married, that's the commitment that you made. You don't get to step out because how much money you got. Boyfriend, girlfriend, do what you want to do. But what what was the question? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying
James.
now since you said you don't agree with the 50-50, what do you think is a substantial amount that the head of the household, what would be the man, should pay
Well, I'm gonna
if
tell
it's
you the
not
truth.
50-50?
It should be in his heart to do 100%.
Mm,
It should be in his heart. You know why? Because if you look back into the Bible times and just old times, back in the 50s, 60s, it'll go back further. When they hit, she felt naturally in her place when he is doing, when he running and taking care of that home. She falls naturally in line. So I don't believe that a marriage should be 50-50. Well, a relationship should be 50-50 marriage because like again it makes it she doesn't she's not natural she is naturally out of place, but my thing is for me is that you should be paying at least more than half of the bill. So times today is hard to do 50, it's hard to do 100%, but I think you should be damn close to that.
yeah, because I was gonna say, what about the men that that have tried that and that paid 100% of the bills, and the marriage didn't work out, and they were
Mm-hmm.
left pretty much with nothing. She ended up taking majority of half of what he had, and then during the relationship, she was able to save during that relationship or that marriage, while he paid 100% of everything. You know
I
what I
get
mean?
it.
So I
Yeah,
want you guys to
that's tough.
give me an opinion on that. Because like I said, sometimes these marriages or relationships we talk about doesn't work out. And it's a lot of men, and I'll say women too that that sometimes left out, high and dry. So how would you look at that situation? You know what I mean?
This is what I tell this is what I did, and my wife will be watching this soon. I encourage her to level up on the same income as me.
Okay.
And this is what you do. When you get her, first of all, you don't do the 100% thing. Well, first of all, you do. But I think where this is a male accountability that we take place, we need to take responsibility at because you should know who you marry.
See, and not to cut you off, because let me say this: you
You
have a lot
should
of
know.
men today that'll tell you that they tried, successful men, that they went that route, and at the end of the relationship, they were left high and dry, and she was
She
able to
can't
save her money, and she was able to to walk
to
away
take
with
half of his stuff, right?
majority of his stuff that he worked hard for
If
for over 30
you get
years.
if you get her to level up, if first of all, before you marry, you should be with somebody who has a same desire of you to level up financially. So my wife, when we got together, I was making a little bit more money than her. But over time, I was pushing her to go to school. Even though it was her idea and her drive to go to school, I was encouraging her. Just in case this fall apart. Why? Because if we get on the same level playing field income wise, you can't take half a shit because we're making the same amount of money. We have the same assets. There is no taking half of mine when we're on the same level.
Okay. All right.
So
Well,
right
BJ,
now,
go,
she
go
ain't too
ahead, Joe. My
far off
bad.
income wise.
All
And
right. Well,
a
what
lot
would
of
you what would
times,
you
and
what would
I'm
what
gonna
would y'all
just
add to that?
piggyback.
Go ahead,
I'm gonna
Doreen.
piggyback off of Joseph a little bit. A lot of times when you start building, I call it building
Yeah.
with your partner,
Hmm.
it's a little bit harder you find most couples don't want to, once stay on that even playing field and they build together, they're more inclined to kind of stay together too, because you're like, I don't work hard building this with you, and you don't work hard building this with me. We're gonna have to work this out. Not
Yeah,
saying in all cases, but again, it's still gonna go back to how you and your partner decide how you want to run your household and what are your plan in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And going back to the relationship, if you notice, most judges will make you give back the engagement ring, because a proposal is a promise to marry.
The
yes,
problem.
It's not I do is I am married.
yeah.
So if you go before a judge, a lot of women think they can keep the engagement ring. They cannot keep the engagement ring. They
Mhm.
supposed to give it back
What in
to the
Michigan,
male.
you got to give it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, Real quick. That was a conversation that me and my wife had. She did not understand this. I told her I did not marry you just for love. Love, love is a 30%. Love is 40%. But there's a business side into marriage, and I put business 60%.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry,
then you
a
guys,
lot of people disagree with that, but I did. I put 60% love, business, 30% love, and the 10% the missionary the things that's needed in marriage. And that's how we came to 100%. If you when you put love as your main thing into your marriage, guess what will end up happening? Love changes.
Sure does.
I don't know
yeah,
why
and
people
then
don't
love,
understand that. People don't talk about love in the divorce court. I ain't heard now once when we go through our divorce, she ain't say a damn thing about love.
yeah, yeah. And love
Yeah.
ain't having no
That's
conversation
right.
about
Right.
whose role is who. The love ain't, you ain't
Mm,
setting up boundaries in love.
nope.
In business you do, but
Yep.
in love you don't. And so when you love somebody, there's a lot of motherfuckers, I would say 75, 80% of motherfuckers who just got in a relationship because
For
they was
love.
put together every day, and they became in love and let's get
Hmm.
married. Ain't nobody had a conversation about how is this partnership going to be set up? Who's going to be responsible for what? So we
Yep.
just get in a relationship and then finding out that we got two different values and shit.
Yep.
Right.
That's right.
See, and I agree
So
with
you
you
want me to be
100%.
submissive, but you
Yeah, me
want to
too.
go 50-50. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like,
You just
so
shouldn't go 50-50.
See,
I
and I
hate
think
that.
that's
I
how
hate that.
most probably relationship. You hit it right on the nose too, Lashawn. I think that's how most relationships start off.
Yep.
They don't come in with understanding who's going to do what. I think they come in like with a
I love you. I
yeah.
love
right,
you.
it's
There
my
you go.
boo, it's
You
my
know,
wifey.
until shit hit the fan. Like, okay,
Hell
who's
no.
responsible for paying this mortgage or this rent? You know what I
Correct.
mean? So, but at the end of the day, what comes with a man paying all the bills in the household? It comes with stability for that woman.
Yep.
It comes with knowing that your husband is going to hold that household down. He's going to be committed into that marriage, to that relationship. He's going to be a committed father, a committed husband, and all those things, and I think it gives the wife,
Yeah,
all
me
the
and Sean on
comfort
the
that
same page.
the
We disagree with you a little bit on that.
right now,
I
and I
do.
just think it gives the wife all the comfort that she needs to be able to go on to run that household, to be able to do all the womanly things that she needs to do around the house, like far as raising the kids, doing the laundry, cooking meals, breakfast, dinner, et cetera, things like that. Taking a lot off of that man's plate, who's actually putting in the work 12,
Mhm.
14-hour days. You know what I mean? So that's what you'll get from that man, a hardworking man, that when he comes home, he know that, his wife is at home, the home is taken care of, dinner is in the stove or on the table waiting for him, so I think that's what you get. You get a complete wife, you get a complete family, because she's going to be there. She's going to make sure those kids are, pretty much well taken care of, as if you taking care of your business as a man. But go ahead, BJ3. Y'all elaborate,
But
or you, Joe, y'all can elaborate on what y'all disagreed about
but
that part.
hold on. I got to push back on that. I'm sorry, BJ. Go ahead. If I cut you off, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go
I'll
ahead.
wait on
I
you.
ain't even said nothing. I ain't said nothing yet for you to cut me off, man. Go ahead, Joe. Do your thing.
Well, I
I'll
just want
jump
you to
in.
go ahead and go at it. I know you want to say something. I can
I'm
talk. You let me just talk.
I'm
But go
listening. I'm
ahead.
listening. I agree with half what's said, and some of. If we go into biblical, then the man is the head. It don't really matter what the
Money.
pay percentage is. But I think we all saying the same thing. Really, what it comes down to is what's agreed. I mean, because you know, grandfather days, like we said, the woman took care of a lot. You know what I'm saying? It was a whole lot that was taken care of at the
Mm-hmm.
house, and we wouldn't want to switch with them. You know what I'm saying? Now, women, I'm not saying all, but in general, like women are kind of being raised to kind of, be on their own and handle things on their own. So it's a little harder to get them to stay home and be submissive. It's like you gotta work your way into it. You gotta talk your way into it, even though you're married type of thing. It's just different. It's just
But
different time. Like I said, I know guys that the roles have reversed. Like I said, my best friend,
Me too.
he stayed at the house. He was
mhm.
taking classes. He was going to school. He was with the kids. He was at every practice. All that. His kids, amazing. And then when they end up getting a divorce. She
Mm-hmm.
went her way, and now he got his doctorate because he was going to school and all that and all that. But it was just it's just sometimes it just depends on the women like, look, I don't went to school and I want to do my career and I don't want to stay home. And do that mean that you know you don't get the
Somebody got to
get the
do
respect as a man because she kind of reverse roles, so to speak. I don't know. So
That don't
it's just
work at
really it's
all,
just really
ever.
about what y'all came up with. What the agreement is. You got to come up with something that's it's not gonna be fair. And I tell the young guys that I mentor all the time, like if you in a relationship with a female, it's not don't look for 50-50. That's just not realistic. You gonna go all out for her birthday. You're gonna go all out for Christmas. Your Christmas give maybe a pair of drawers and something something. You know what I'm saying? It may not be the same. Don't even if you're looking for that, then that's you're gonna be let down all the time. So you got to come up with what's realistic. What we both agree on, and then you move from there. If everybody know their roles and everybody kind of agree what's going on, then things should work out. But that's not always the case.
Well, I
Now,
want
do
to ask
you
y'all.
think that
I want
younger
to ask
women?
y'all this question too, though. We said our grandfathers, looked at it at that point too. Where they paid majority of, all the bills in the household. So let's go back a little bit on that. We used to always hear about, those type of men having families on the other side of town. So, were those guys still practicing that too? Having a little something, on the side, after they paid all their bills. Because we've always heard of before the internet and all this social media that certain guys, certain men would have a whole nother family on the other side of town. So let's not act like our grandfathers didn't play those roles neither.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I
I
got
know.
a lot of cousins and
Yeah,
uncles and
yeah, the
stuff
man,
that
Yeah,
we
listen,
me
just
too.
finding out
Me
about,
too.
yeah,
But do
yeah.
you get to you talking about set it up? If I'm thinking like, do you think that modern day women today that they are looking at older times when they are thinking about setting up a relationship? I don't think that they are. I think that life imitates art. They're listening to rap songs and what's going on TV and Atlanta Housewives and see them shopping for
Unrealistic.
clothes
No, I
and
agree. I kind of agree with you. I think with everything that you're saying, women look at it like, okay, they expect for their man to, especially if he paying all the bills and taking care of her for him to, to go out and do his thing too. You know what I
yeah,
Uh,
mean?
because you look at it
it,
like if you are looking for a man to pay all of your bills, buy you cars, take you on trips, and you not ever come out of your pocket, that means that most of these women are looking for the same 1% of the American population. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're not looking for the disc diggers and the electricians and
Right,
they're not
right. The
looking for
regular
that.
dude.
They
Right,
looking for the ballers that just got
right.
unlimited disposable income and I can buy
Right.
you bags and all this and
Well,
women
you
are
you
super
you you
aggressive about it.
you see what's going on with Shannon Sharp.
I knew you were gonna go there.
messing with these modern today's women. You know what I mean?
Well,
She
that's your
kind of
Well,
get
fault.
50 million up out of it.
when you say modern, you have to kind of go back, and a lot of females don't have an example. You have a lot of young single mothers who have
Yep,
raising young
yep,
teenagers and
yep, yep.
20s, and they in their late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know, and what they see, they imitate mama and grandmama, because mama is 30 and grandmama is 45. And they
Right.
see grandmama and mama going out and hustling men and doing things of that nature. That's all they know. There's not
Right.
a lot of stability and structure when it comes that they have seen when it
Mm.
comes to marriage. So
Right.
I don't think a lot of younger, this what we call these modern girls really understand what marriage is, because it's not a lot of good examples around. So the only thing they do see is social media, and how social media is sensationalizing cars and money and ballers. And a lot of these guys out here on social media don't have it. They just look
Right.
like
And I
they have
agree,
it.
and the
That's why
thing on
so many
social
women
media
getting
that's going
played.
around too, Dorinda, is you have a lot of women that's arguing about, is it a flex to be married? Some women are saying yes, it's a big flex to be married. And then you have a lot of women that's not married saying no, it's not a flex. They love being, single, not having, having to
To
worry
answer
about, that man or that husband.
Yeah,
Those women,
I think it's a lot of women are happy being single, and I don't think I think it's
until they get
unhealthy.
old,
Yeah, unhealthy to a
hmm,
lot of women, not just old. You said when they older,
they only happy until they get old.
that's not necessarily true.
Why
and that's
not?
kind of rude,
Because
Joseph.
I'm telling
Huh?
you,
That's
because
rude.
I know
Oh,
it's not
oh,
true. Because I was
I
single
think
Shut up.
for
it's I think it's the
Shut up.
reverse. I think when they get older, they'd rather be. But there's
Good.
nothing wrong.
Yes,
it,
sure.
it's completely not
If
true. A lot of
you,
younger women, middle-aged women, are very content with who they are and where they are. And when they get older, because I have dealt and followed aunties when they got older and they were single, they were still content and happy. Everybody
that's
level
be,
happiness is
that's
not the same,
because
but it doesn't mean because someone don't have someone that they're unhappy. I don't
well,
believe that whatsoever.
I that's because they're not being honest. How the hell you could be
Well,
happy? What
well,
if
how,
you
how can how do you determine who's being honest with their truth?
because when everything is going right for you, see the women today is only happy because everything is lining up. Their health is okay, the money is there. Let one of those things fall, and then you'll see what happens.
And that's
It's
human
a,
nature, though. And
but
you
that's
can't
not
put
but
everybody in the same category.
but that's
No.
what I'm but that's what I'm saying. Is that it's easy. They only happy because everything they it's life has gave them ways where they don't have to conform to having a husband and wife. I mean having a husband, and that's the American thing. It when you are put in a situation like China and Japan and other countries, you have to rely on each other. Here in America, it's plenty of wealth and income where you don't have to rely on anyone else. And I'm saying until they get old, until their health deteriorates, until their income falls, or until something go wrong, then they're gonna wish they had somebody else. So
Well, in according to the world of Joseph,
no, that's not the
but
word, Joseph. That's the truth.
because that's just your opinion. Your
No,
opinion is
opinion.
not factual.
So if you
Unless you can give me data that says all women that are single when they reach a certain age will regret not being
Well, he
married. If
probably
you
he,
can show
he
me
probably meant
data,
like
then I
most
would see
most
it, because
single women.
I'm
well, hold on, hold on.
strictly a data kind of person. I
They
don't.
do they do regret it. You know how they regret it? Because most of those single women have multiple pets in their home. They got 3 to 4
How
dogs.
many have you interviewed to tell me? I need
Well,
data.
you just look
She said
I
she
around.
need
need data.
data, Joseph. How
Hold
many
She
on.
have
We
you
need
all
data,
interviewed?
baby.
you don't get data from that. It's common sense. You think
No,
about
no,
what
common
happened when they
sense
get
is
older.
common
Most
sense
old,
can be opinion.
most
I need
older,
you to tell me how many
most
people women have you
Right,
interviewed
right.
that are single And when they reach a certain age, they are regretting it because they have a lot of cats.
Well, give
Please send me
your
the
opinion,
data.
Joe, and then I'm gonna let
I'm going to
LaShawn
read the
answer that
story,
because she's a
Joseph.
single
I can't
woman.
wait.
They get older and they have multiple dogs and cats and pets. That's what ended up happening. That's what we all know what
According
happens.
to who? Name
According to the
5 people
world, we
that you
all know what.
know that have gotten older and started liking cats.
I don't want to put names out there, but it seems like everyone that I've seen, known, unknown, and you see on social media and family, minds, they got multiple pets.
We sound like we got a little Kevin Samuels in the house.
That's the truth. He's right about that.
But go ahead. I want you to add to that, LaShawn.
That's all.
I just think that Joseph is super opinionated.
He's not opinionated.
Doesn't have facts to back him up. You
gotta have facts. You gotta have data.
I can see you being a Trump supporter because you feel like how you feel is the truth, and it may be for you, but it may not be for me. My thing is, Joseph, if I have dogs in my house, it is because I like dogs.
Are you single?
I want dogs in my house. These dogs don't equate to a man.
No, I understand that.
So listen to what I'm saying. So I got girlfriends that are single.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them have been married before, or they have been in long-term relationships like myself, who are just to a point where we are exhausted. And so to even just deal with me and my household takes a lot. And I don't want anybody who can't contribute to the peace in the house. So if I can have that, then I will be content being by myself. I've had this conversation with God. God, listen, if I don't find nobody, it's okay. And it ain't like they ain't out there, but will they add to the peace that's here already? Or will they take, or will they deplete? So I feel like that's a general statement that you're making. What I also want to add is I got a guy friend. We went to DR. He met a beautiful girl. She went everywhere we went. He had to pay for everything because whatever we ate, she ate. Whatever we drank, she drank. So he had to pay for that. He said it would have been cheaper to just get a hoe. And then her ass is gone at the end of the night. And you got to realize that some women feel that way too.
Right.
It isn't, a man don't make us. So if I don't want the responsibility of taking care of someone else, then I have that right. And I will.
I'm not taking that from you.
I will stand, and I don't seem sad or bitter or I'm upset at the fact that I am single. But if a God sent man don't come to me, I will be content and happy. I'm gonna bring my joy everywhere I go.
Nobody is taking that from you. Nobody's taking the content part about waiting until God send you what you entitled to. I ain't taking that. But there's a lot of women that's purposely don't have them in relationships because of who they are. So and they end up
they do that and they're sad.
What they end up having pets because they make themselves unavailable for guys. And it could be mental, it could be all type of reasons, but they end up growing old with pets and growing old alone and miserable. How do you grow happy alone?
Well, but that
how do you, I got that's the question I want to ask. How do you grow old and alone?
How do you grow old? How do you grow?
No.
You said I think you said how you grow happy.
Wait a minute.
Old
how
alone.
do you grow old?
That's what I mean.
How do you grow
happy alone?
How do you grow
how do you happy
old
alone?
and alone? How do you?
That's what I meant.
Listen, you have to go and ask people how do you grow who have grown old and alone. Because
no. You can grow old alone, but I mean, how do you grow happy and alone?
Yeah, but we
how do they work together?
I think
God didn't make us to be. He didn't make man to be by himself.
I think you're basing your opinion based on the women that you have seen in your family.
No. I'm basing that based on what if we talking, and I'm just talking about based on scripture and biblical. God did not
What's
make
biblical?
man.
Please name a scripture.
God did not make man to be alone. That's why He made a wife. So how do you grow old and happy by yourself? You contradict what God has placed for us. You don't. You make yourself believe that you have.
Here we go with this. Listen, here we go with this. Listen, First of all,
You're not
I
gonna
don't
hold
believe you
happy.
contradict what God has for us when you make a decision, and that decision can be based on what God has told you, what your life is going to be and your purpose. Everybody' purpose is driven by God, but it's not the same, boo. And
I
God,
get that.
and because if you got a purpose driven life, it may not include a mate. So you telling me if God give
Questionable.
this woman right here, and I'm going by your words now, this woman,
I
because
don't believe that
you
is
said, how
God.
do we grow? Wait a minute. You said, how do you grow old and happy when you old and alone? Is that correct? That's the question you asked? How do you
Look at
grow
the
old
priest.
alone and be
Look at
happy, right?
He ain't happy.
it's some God ordained individuals that grow old and are happy.
You
Like
said a
in if we're
priest.
going off the
That's a wrong
Bible,
example. Don't use the
if
priest.
we go, I mean, it's priests and nuns. And if we go really in the Bible, then deacons, they're not
Correct.
supposed to be married neither. Are they just supposed to be old
Exactly.
and unhappy? I mean, I'm just saying, like we're going
You
off the Bible, and
hold
in
on,
the
hold on. You
Bible,
saying
it
the
said that
deacons
these individuals are
ain't
not
supposed
supposed
to
to be
be.
married.
Hold on. You
They're
said
not supposed to be
deacons.
married.
No, I
Yes, they
think he
do.
said
There's no, no.
certain
Oh, hold
priests
on.
and
Well, first of
nuns.
all, that's not scripture when you said deacon not supposed to be married. Because the Bible in First Timothy says that you're supposed to be with one wife. You're supposed to be the head of your home with one wife. That's not true.
But I
But
thought it
when you
also
talk about
said
deacons, I mean when you talk about priests and nuns
It does say
are the
deacons
ones
in the
who
Old Testament, but whatever. Go ahead.
What?
because I
But
did thought I thought that
100%.
later in the New Testament it said that a man could have as many wives as he could afford.
right,
that's not
I
that's not
thought that's what it said.
no, that's
But
not true.
before we go
You
too
only have one
far
wife.
into the biblical scriptures, let's
Exactly,
stay on
because
subject. But look, I want to,
everybody's
Dorinda, I want to
interpretation
give
of the
you.
Bible is different.
Go ahead. I'll give you the last words on the actual title. You know what comes with a man. You
Okay.
know, paying all the bills in the household. You know you know give me your last thoughts and your opinion on that topic,
Who who
Dorinda.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Said it.
No, I was just asking
right.
you. I said,
We
I'm gonna give you the last words on the topic. Give me your opinion, and your last words on the topic. What comes with a man paying all the bills in the household? You know, for young women and young men who may
Hmm.
be listening to this situation and and thinking that, that every relationship has to be 50-50, and just give me your opinion on what you think, on your relationship, how on how, just give me your opinion on what do you think how relationship would strive or be able to, what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't lost my train of thought. I'm sorry
That's
about that.
okay.
But look, give the youth out there, your words on your opinion on your relationship or your marriage, how how it went, in your situation, I should say. Wow, sorry about that, y'all. I don't know.
Dang, when I was
You
gonna say,
you
get it
just
out,
about to think
brother,
about
get
what
it
you just
I
out.
think
couldn't
about
get
what
it
you
out.
said.
If I was going to say something, I lost my train of thought.
Right, right. Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
definitely
So
lost
far
mine.
as just we'll keep it with the topic. What comes with a man paying all the bills in the household?
I
What do you
just think
say to the youth that may be listening to this, that may be going through a situation like that, not knowing that a man should pay all the bills in the household, I should say.
I think if a man pay all the bills in the household, you are blessed if he can afford to do so. Set your own
I
standards,
agree.
have a conversation, how the household is going to be ran,
Mhm.
and know your power,
Yeah,
know your worth, and don't
definitely
allow someone to dictate or do anything to you that's disrespectful based on because they can pay all the bills. But
Right.
I agree.
I hope you listen to what Joseph said. Start leveling up, go to school,
Yeah,
stack your money, make sure you get to a place where you want to go to.
Right.
hmm
And so that may be a little, it may keep you from a lot of heartache if
yeah.
you find your own way while he's finding his way. So you guys can kind of stay a little equal and not off balance. So that's my thought.
Okay, and why I say that, because and I'm glad you answered that question, because a lot of young women are confused and, don't know the difference, far as, what it takes for, a husband or that man to, to run that household and to lead and, what it takes, and what it is of a man to, take leadership and pay all the bills in the household. So, I'm gonna ask you that same question, Joseph, I'll ask you that same question and then, you can go to BJ3.
Okay. Um, what comes with that, with a man paying all the bills or most of the bills, all the bills, whatever, uh, I still think that it comes with him leading the home. When he's paying most of the bill, all the bills, there's a standard that he sets for that home. That this is I'm doing my job to the fullest. That means for me, that means that she needs to do her job to the fullest. So whatever that is. So for me, and I'm just speaking on my household. I told you like I said, it's a 70-65% rule in my home that I take care of most of the things. It ended up being a little bit more than that if you add everything else. But the well, my requirement for her is just to stay submissive. Don't, you know, stay submissive, stay feminine. Uh, when I fall short, when I got laid off, I feel a little short, because of, a little overextended. My wife came in and held me down for a minute, you know. So that's what work in our marriage. That I'm still gonna do my thing, where I'm taking care of most of my bills, whatever. But I know that when she was having a little extra money, and when I got in trouble, she bailed me out. So
Okay.
that's what it's there for, She don't have to absolve herself. I might be exalting myself a lot, but when it comes down to when I need my wife, she's gonna be there and step up. So I just need her to stay doing that. So that's what I expect when I'm doing my thing. And paying all them bills, whatever. I expect her to fill in for them other areas, and then when I'm in trouble, at my back.
Okay, BJ, and I'm gonna ask you that same question, let you end it off too with that. What comes with a man paying all the bills in the household?
So, I got like two-part answer to that. So in general, like if we're talking to young folks or people that are just getting out of school, everybody is just getting started. You know what I mean? So it's not like one person is making enough to take care of everything. So you may have to start off with a 50-50, but you can start off like that. And if the roles are understood, and she's doing everything that he's requesting, and vice versa, he'll strive to want to be able to pay all of the bills, even if he might not get to 100%, but he'll do more and more. If he's encouraged. See, I'm a little secret for the young ladies. Like, man, we're big on ego too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you stroke our ego, and build this up. And like, we come home and we can get this, we can get that. Like, we gonna try to stand up to that standard that you talking us up to, versus talking them down. He ain't this, he ain't that. If you
Right.
reverse it, you do it differently, you'll get those results. You know what I'm saying? So, but ultimately, I believe that he should get, again, if we're talking biblically, whether it's the percentage is higher or lower, he should, the head is the head, and it should be a certain respect, no matter if she, has the better job and is doing better. I'm like, I don't care if I am to stay home, dad, I still get the big piece of chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just be a certain
All right.
a certain standard, I believe. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter, but but yeah, definitely, we'll try. We gonna that that's ultimately the goal. We want to be able to spoil. You don't pick her not to. You know what I'm saying? When you pick a female to marry, you've chosen that woman. Yes, it's some business parts in there, but you've chosen to spoil her and to cater to her, and do what you can to make her happy. So, that's a major part in it. But when you getting, what you feel that you should be getting in different levels, it make you want to strive, to do more and more. You know what I'm saying? So
That's good.
There we go. Well, DJ Shiny D, give us your last words, and we'll go ahead and finish everything out and close up.
All right. I do feel like, there are some hard conversations that have to be had. Because I've been with some men that felt like they could slap the shit out of me because they pay my bills. You know what I mean? Like, or they could go out and come in when they feel like it or whatever. And so that's why it's important to know your mates and know what they expect from in the household and from you if they're paying all the bills. I do think that a man would want you to level up, but I have been with men that didn't want you to level up. As a woman, my advice to you would be never. I come from a grandmother who always had a secret bank account. Just in case she had to get the fuck up out of there one day.
All right.
Because times got bad in her marriage, but they didn't believe in divorce. They stayed together, but always have you some money so that you can even help out in
Mm-hmm.
the marriage in case he loses his job or his income or whatever.
Yeah.
You can contribute in that way, or that you can get out if shit get bad and niggas
Yeah.
start tripping. You know what I mean? So
Right.
never be without nothing. Never
Right.
be without nothing that is put away just for a rainy day.
Right.
Yeah. I agree
See, and
with
I
that.
agree with you 100%. I see nothing wrong with a man paying 100% or all the bills, long as if that girlfriend or the wife is putting some to the side, you know what I mean, for a rainy day, not for just her escape plan, to escape the relationship, or the marriage, you know what I mean? So I don't see anything wrong with that. I agree with you 100%. Because I think behind every great man is a great woman, that's
Yeah.
there at home, making sure the home front, is taken care of. You know what I mean? So
You
that
better
takes a
say
lot of
it.
pressure off of that man. Go ahead, Dorinda.
I agree with that.
No, I just say
You
you
say you
better
better
say
say
it.
it. You better
Right,
say
yeah,
it.
so I think everybody was kind of on the, same account of discussion what we talked about. I don't think it matter who pays majority of the bills. I think it's just it's about a respect thing and just having an understanding. Even if that man is or woman is paying all the bills, I think having an understanding coming like I think like LaShawn said, coming into a relationship, you guys need to have an understanding versus, I think Joe had said something about just love too. We come into relationships with love and not knowing, you're not having an understanding on, who's going to be
Mhm.
paying what or leading what, you know what I mean? So,
But that's the business part.
right. Yep. So I don't
Yeah.
have anything else to add. So, Dorinda, let everybody know what you got going on and where they can reach you.
Well, you can again, I'm co-founder of Elite Squad and CEO of DNA Skills for Life. We are a organization that serves individuals with disabilities. So you can check out our website, www.elitesquad.inc.org and www.dnaskills.com. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Make sure you go check her out.
Yeah.
BJ3, let everybody know where they can reach you and what you got going on.
hey man, I'm in the financial business, man, trying to change lives, make millionaires, put your money where it's stable. Um, get at me at you can hit me on the cell phone. I break down more information, man. 773-398-5658.
Okay,
Appreciate you.
Big Joe. Thanks again, BJ3. Big Joe, let everybody know what you got going on and where they can reach you.
You can reach me, like I always say, I don't have a social media like YouTube, anything like that, but you always can reach me on my page, which is my name, Joseph Noel. You'll see my big head and my wife. You'll
Okay,
see
there we
me,
go.
and
And like I
that's
said, I
how you
want to
reach
thank
me
you
right
again for
now.
joining the show. DJ Shiny
I
D,
appreciate y'all.
you see what I got in my hand? I need some more. Let them know where they can
What is
reach you.
that?
There
Right,
we go.
right
There we
here,
go. Let
baby.
them know where they can reach you
Yes,
and what you got going on.
Lost Shea Butters. You see how nice
See,
that
I
look?
ain't ready. I ain't
Hey,
asked you today. I
it's
was
Hey,
ready.
all
hey,
right
Damon, tell her I ask you
here.
to be at work. I'll
And
be
if it's
asking you mud
sticky,
at work.
Yeah,
stay
hey,
sticky. Yeah.
listen, Joe, get in contact with DJ Shiny D. That man
I'll be
needs some of this
asking.
shea butter.
Yeah, because you a little
Hey,
ashy between your hand and
Well,
your
I don't know how
fingers.
yeah,
he is outside of work, but at work he definitely needs some of this shea butter.
yeah, yeah. Be
Yeah, a
white
little
like
dry. I
ET.
thought
You
you
ever
had
see
on
when
some
ET
Usher gloves.
dehydrated? His
Yeah,
I
hands
and
be
it,
thought,
all
it
white.
works too. It works. Look,
yeah,
look,
I thought
it
you
works
had on
really,
some
really
Usher
good too.
gloves.
I'm
I thought
hydrated.
you was Usher today.
Yeah,
Now, and look, and I want y'all to excuse me for stumbling and bubbling over my words earlier. I couldn't find the words that I was looking for. I had them in my head, but they couldn't come out right. But I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming on the show. This was a great conversation. This was a conversation that was needed to be heard. You know, and like I said, each and every one of you guys gave great opinions, and I enjoyed the show. So like I said, I don't have
me too.
anything else to
Definitely.
add. Dorinda, you go get you some rest because I know you got to get up in the morning, take care of that
You need to
business.
stop saying that. I'm fine.
Okay, well, like I said, I enjoyed the conversation. It's been another one. It's your boy Damn D, and we are out. Peace.
Peace out.